All righty, now we're going to start off again. This is pure. This is purely an indulgence for me because I just love the symmetry, and I just remember how it struck me the first time I realized that at any one moment in time, half of the NFL has a positive net point differential, and the other half has a negative net point differential. And what can you learn from those teams that have negative, differentials and positive differentials? What's the differentiating factor in so many cases? And that's what I like about this, that it kind of arranges the information so that we can think about it in maybe a different way and look at it in a different way. What do you think?
I would agree, absolutely. And our way is definitely a different way.
Now, the Buffalo Bills are, I'm trying to think, was stubbornly in first place, even though they didn't look like a first place team, And the New York Jets, as bad as Detroit has played, are still the last place, number 32 ranked team in net points. So again, you want to know where the draft choices, the number one draft options are going? There's your list right there. Start from 32 and move back about 10 places, and you'll have a nice little list of teams right there that may have an option on it, and probably the last five. What do you think, Ben?
I'd say probably the last five have a real good shot at getting the number one pick, but it's going to be tough to overtake the Jets for that number one spot in the draft.
Well, hey, Ben, we're going to talk about the matchup coming up because Zach is back. So we shall see if that makes a material difference. Let's look at the top 10 in the Sterling Pro Football Net Point Power Rankings as a result of the completed games for NFL Week 11, 2021. We talked about Buffalo stubbornly in first place. Like, no, I'm not giving up. I don't care how badly I play. Ben, look who is on their tail.
Yeah, right. In the division. A team that we thought
in the division.
At least a team that at least I thought may not see a division win or a division title for at least the next 2 or 3 years. That's how highly I thought of Buffalo. But here they come. They're not dead yet.
Let's look at our the number one team in offense and scoring and in defense. Your number one team in average points for Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 30.9 points on average per game. So you can wonder about Tom Brady if you want to. They're averaging almost 31 points a game. And as of week 11, we're well into second half of the season. And New England, number one in scoring defense, average points against at 16.1 points per game. That's what they're giving up on average. So when you go in against New England, that's what they normally do. That's their work. That's what their day's work looks like. Absolutely amazing. What do you think about that so far?
Well, I mean, if you want to start and go left to right, it's obvious to see why Buffalo is still number one in net points, because they're number two in points for, and number two in points against, and number two in turnover differential. So obviously that puts them above everybody else as far as the numbers are concerned. The New England defense was already expected to be pretty good. Right now they're playing better than pretty good. they're a really stout group. So I'm not surprised to see them up there. I mean, turnover differential makes all the difference, though. So explain turnover differential to everybody.
That is the difference between giveaways and takeaways. Giveaways could be an interception or a fumble. Same for takeaways. When you combine that total, if you're taking it away more than you're giving it away, you will be in the positive. And just like net points, turnover differential, or TOD, as we like to call them, runs both positive and negative. So these are average numbers. Indianapolis, if you're looking at 1.4, they average taking the ball away from the other team 1.4 times more than they give it away. And so you pretty much know that. Buffalo had been number one. They were number one running across, but they took that step down. And I'm watching some tape on the quarterback, Josh Allen. And I'm looking at it, I'm going, did Ben say that the Trubisky thing was more of an infection or genetic? Was it more genetic? Because he's starting to look a little Trubisky-like at times.
Bro, it's one game, bro. One game.
Okay. So just for the sake of those people who are listening and don't have the access to see it right now, we'll just run number 1 through 10 real quick. In average net points, number 1, Buffalo, 11.92, New England, 11.23, Arizona at 9.8. Let's not forget the Cardinals, 4, Tampa Bay at 8.7, 5, Dallas at 7.9. These are average net points, positive. The scary team, if you ask me, 6, Indianapolis, 5.8. 7, Cincinnati, 5.2. 8, the LA Rams, 5. Did I say Cincinnati 5.2? Yes. 8, LA Rams, 4.4. Tennessee, average net points, 3.4. And look who snuck into the top 10.
Wow.
Those Philadelphia Eagles tied in net points with the Tennessee Titans, much less, at 3.4. So you can go to Sterling Net Point Power Rankings on Facebook. Just search that out, Sterling Net Point Power Rankings on Facebook. All the charts, all the information is there. You see your average points for Tampa Bay, Buffalo, Dallas at number 3. Man, Dallas played the Chiefs, and that 29.3 average did not look like a team that was averaging 29.3 points.
And I will tell you why.
Okay. Later?
Yes.
Oh. Okay. All right. There's Arizona at 4, and at scoring 28 points. And again, as far as I'm concerned, that's your magic number. They did that a couple with what? How many games now with the backup quarterback? What, Colt McCoy was in there for what, 2 or 3 games so far?
I want to say 3. He made it through one unscathed. He got injured in one, and then this one this past weekend.
So that's not bad with your backup quarterback, maintaining
Not
that
bad.
28 points.
It's tremendous. It's tremendous.
There you go. And then, Indianapolis at 28.1, and you got, and I called him, what did I call him? A phenom 3 weeks ago? They're running back, Jonathan.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can call him what you want. The guy's on fire right now. He's quick to the hole. He runs with power. He's hard to tackle. I mean, people are starting to forget all about Derrick Henry right now watching this guy play.
Well, he's matched Derrick Henry's number. Of course, Derrick Henry isn't producing anymore. So, that, but within a game or two of when Derrick Henry went down. He's right there. And they had a big scoring day, and he accounted for how many? 4 or 5 touchdowns?
He scored 5.
5 touchdowns. That's 30 points. That's higher than what they average. Right there at 28.1. So that's going to help keep up the average. So that makes them, when you have a running back that can produce like that, I mean, hey, Ben, even the analytics can't get wrong that the play action might work.
Well, no comment.
No comment. The LA Rams, well, okay, right after Indianapolis, there's your Patriots. And this was the question. And this is probably why you were thinking it's going to take 2-3 years for them to be sniffing division stuff, is because, okay, what are they going to score? You know, what are they going to score? How are they going to score with Mac, Mac Jones, as Newton was calling Mac and Cheese. But 27.3 points per game for the rookie. Looking down this list in the top 10, the closest thing to a rookie quarterback would probably be Philly and Cincinnati. And they're not rookies.
You could say that. They're both second-year players, Hurts and Burrow. Yeah, New England being this high in average points for is a bit of a surprise. Yes, it is.
And again, you talked about the offensive coordinator for the Patriots. He was the guy that was there when Brady was chewing them up when they were coming up with those game plans.
Yes. Josh McDaniels, best OC in the business.
Hey, man, and the thing about it, they had a mobile quarterback who now, Cam Newton's, back with the Panthers, and he's running around all over the place. But this rookie is standing in the pocket, getting it done. So a very interesting contrast in styles and success levels right there. Right behind New England, you have the Rams. Now, the Rams kind of were expected to be closer up to number 1. They looked like the team that was going to be with all the scoring power, especially as they were coming into the season. And then they added, OBJ and all of that. But, the question is with them is going to be is physicality, from what I understand. What's interesting to me about listening to Philly media and the media talk about the Philadelphia Eagles? They're stunned at their rushing statistics. And they're like, they're really running the ball great. Like, that's a running game,
It is great considering they acted like they were allergic to running the ball early in the season.
I think the point that I'm trying to make is what they have a very talented, athletic quarterback who's running around all over the place. To me, that does not make a run game. So you got these statistics, but I don't think that they're the type of statistic that you can say the Eagles now have a run game. Jonathan and Taylor and the Colts, that's a run game, as far as I'm concerned. So I don't think they make that distinction, and I think that kind of might deceive people if you just listen, just looking at the stats, I don't know how far that's going to take you, but right now it took them to 8th place offensively, ahead of Cincinnati and ahead of Tennessee, who both are under 27 points per game.
Well, what I'll say about the Eagles real quick, and again, I'll tell you a little bit more about that also a little bit later, is they went from trying to throw the ball all over the place like they were the Kansas City Chiefs to realizing that they needed more balance if they were going to win more games. And they started to run the ball more, even though they're using Hurts a lot. And why not? He's successful at it. He's very difficult to tackle. And they're getting their backs involved. It was looking for a while. I was saying if I was Miles Sanders, I'd be asking for a trade. Not anymore, They just beat the Saints, and they had a good running game. That's not counting Hurts. They had a good running game, not counting Hurts. They had a great running game with Hurts, and the Saints were ranked, I believe, top 3 coming into that game in run defense.
Yeah, that's the same. Remember I said last week, as we look at the weird things, that the one weird thread it seemed that traced through the whole season schedule was the Saints. It's like they kicked it off weird. and we, from that point on, you don't know what you, now we'll talk about this in current events real quick, but they just signed one of the more unique contracts in NFL history with Taysom Hill. So, this is a hybrid contract. And even reading different reports, I saw estimates on this contract from like 22 million to like 94 million, depending on. So it's absolutely amazing. But if there's something weird, just keep your eye on the Saints, because there's a weird factor, and they seem to be riding every week through that. Defensively, what do you think about these defenses? I want to point out Green Bay's defense and Dallas's defense, both in the top 10 after being like really a weak point last year for those teams. Dallas defense being, as we said, historically bad last year, and now here they are, number 8, only giving up 21.4 points per game. What do you think about that?
Both teams,
that's your division.
Yeah, both teams are greatly improved, especially Dallas. When you say greatly improved, yeah, Dallas was monumentally bad last year. Green Bay was bad, but they weren't as bad as Dallas. But both teams are greatly improved. I'll give Dan Quinn, the DC from Dallas, most of the credit for playing best to the skills of his players. He's got a lot of speed in the secondary. He has good linebackers, good hitters, good pass rushers. That team looks really good. The only problem is they're pretty young, and they're going to have games where they're going to get hit for big yardage plays. Keeping other teams out of the end zone is their task if they're going to stay in the top 10, obviously, because it's points against, and you don't want them to score points. Green Bay's a little up and down. They've had some injuries. If they can get everybody back, they'll be formidable going down the stretch.
Yeah. I mean, and Aaron Liar Pants on Fire Rodgers is having a problem with his toe. I think they said he has a broken toe.
Today he announced he has a fractured toe, and he took his shoe off and stuck his foot up in front of the camera. Oh God.
Did he really?
You know, this guy is so dramatic, man. I'm starting to get a little tired of him. I love to watch him play. I love to watch Green Bay play. I give him all the respect in the world on the field. But once he gets off the field and gets behind a mic, he's starting to wear a little thin on me.
Hey, welcome to the club. I was there this summer. I was there way early, and I was off. Well, I'm on. You gotta, like you said, respect the football. There's no doubt about that. I mean, you know, his ability to deliver the pass.
I found something he said real funny. They were asking about his toe. He says it hurts really, really bad. And then they said, "Is it like turf toe?" And he says, "No, it's worse than turf toe. I had turf toe, and this is worse." Turf toe ruins careers. Turf toe retired Deion Sanders. Turf toe is a really bad
Patrick Willis.
Injury. Yes.
Patrick Willis, that monster
really
of a
bad
man.
Injury.
Turf toe took him down.
It's a really bad injury. And I haven't heard a lot, and I'm not saying, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know, but I haven't heard too many guys say that they, or have it reported that they have turf toe, and excuse me, and then they go on and have 2 and 3 and 4 more successful seasons. You get turf toe, your days are numbered. And this guy's talking like, yeah, I had it, but it's gone now. And now what I have is worse. I'm like, what? Liar, liar, pants on fire.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. But in any event, their defense is right in the thick of it at number 5. Now, dropping down, look right there, number 10. Okay. Not in the first column, not in the second column, but in that third column of defense, only giving up 21.8 points per game. There's those New Orleans Saints adding a little bit of craziness to this whole season. Now, look, 21.8 points per game, right? Number 10. Right. Listen to number 11, 12, 13. Listen to this real quick. Right behind them. San Francisco, Tampa Bay, Indianapolis, Pittsburgh, LA Rams, Kansas City, Cleveland, Baltimore, Tennessee. Those are all the teams trailing this particular group right here as far as points against is concerned. That's all mainly the 22 to 23 points per game group. That's kind of right there behind this group. So it's going to be interesting to see who can hang as we get into this last third of the season. And last but not least, ATOD, average turnover differential. Indianapolis Colts in first place at 1.4 plus 1.4 turnover differential per game, ranking number 1. Buffalo at an even 1, number 2. And going down there, all just less than 1, but ranging from 0.7 to 0.3. You have Arizona, Green Bay, there you go, Minnesota, New England, okay, number 6 in turnover differential. So that puts New England in 3 of the 4 categories, right? No, all 4 categories. All 4 categories. Tampa Bay, right behind them, Dallas. There's New Orleans again at 9, and right behind them, the LA Rams. So that wraps up your top 10, and those areas that we think are mainly the most important areas, because again, yards don't win games, points win games, and these are the actual point records. As we always say, we don't rank these teams, they rank themselves, right, Benny?
That is correct.
All right.
Let me say something about Todd here.
Sure.
So if you look at the teams from 1 to 10 in turnover differential, it's funny, the number 1 team, the Indianapolis Colts, has a quarterback, Carson Wentz, who was being slapped over the head about turning the ball over, getting strip sacked, running and fumbling, not sliding, getting tackled and fumbling, throwing interceptions. They're number 1. Now, granted, that means that they take the ball away more than they give it away. So props have to go out to their defense, no doubt about it. But when you have a quarterback that now is very careful with the ball and a running back who does not fumble, you're not going to give the ball away very much, if at all. Talk bad about Josh Allen if you want. The guy does not throw a lot of picks. He does not fumble a lot. The running backs, I can't say a whole lot about. To me, that's the weakness of their team, but they don't fumble much. Kyler Murray, Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, Mac and Cheese, Brady, Dak. These are all really top quarterbacks. They don't throw picks. Their defense gets them, but they don't give them away. That's big.
Well, interesting. Just want to mention Minnesota, because, my Niners play Minnesota, and we always, I always like to mention Kirk Cousins if I can. And they ended that last game and beat Green Bay. Actually, they're tied in turnover differential. Right? That's the same division. But I really thought that last pass that he threw, what was it? Their rookie went up and caught. You
lost me. You're talking about Minnesota?
I'm talking about Minnesota. Yeah.
What, the great catch by Justin Jefferson?
Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, he's not a rookie.
Okay. What is he? Second year, right?
Second year player, yes. Great second year player.
All right. Keep me straight. Keep me straight. But long story short, I thought that was somewhat of a 50-50. And I was like, uh-oh, is this a Kirk Cousins?
Oh,
you really bailed out.
Bro, you are really hard on him, man. That was a great pass.
Oh man, he was getting blasted when he threw that ball up in the air.
So what?
Okay.
How many times you see guys throw? Aaron Rodgers gets blasted and throws touchdowns.
Hey, yes, he does.
And Tom Brady gets blasted and throws touchdowns.
At a far higher clip than what Kirk Cousins normally did.
All right, okay.
He had a few Kirk Cousins moment, but they overcame them. And he put up like 20, 30 points. So I mean, you got to give them their just due for what they're doing offensively and production and things of that nature. Are they in the top 10?
You're mixing what you're seeing with while we're talking about the numbers. The numbers don't lie, but sometimes what you're seeing doesn't quite tell the whole story. You have to give the man credit for the good things that he does, because believe me, he does plenty of bad. He's good Kirk one day, he's bad Kirk the next day. I think last week he was a little bit of both, but I'll tell you about it later.
All right. Let's go to the next segment, the Pro Football Bias Plus Reports.